You're watching Beyond the Whistle, brought to you by NCTV.
Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Matt Schlegel here with Scotty Luntz for the final time. This is Beyond the Whistle. This is our 9th episode, Scotty. It's been a lot of fun this year. Let's finish the year out strong. What do you say?
Absolutely, Matt.
So, the big story in the world of sports last night, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and the Golden State Warriors won their second title in the span of 3 years, on their verge of starting a dynasty, beating LeBron James's Cavaliers in just 5 games. That's the result you wanted to see, me not so much, but nonetheless, there's no denying that they were hands down the best team in the NBA this year. So let's get right into it. The first question I have, we're going to talk about the super teams. In your opinion, have super teams ruined the NBA?
I don't think so. I think this is exactly what the NBA wanted. Obviously, it would have been better if the series was more competitive. But you have two teams that I would say are quite evenly matched, the Cavaliers and the Warriors. Unfortunately, the series didn't go as far as most hoped. But I don't think it's ruining the NBA necessarily. It is hurting small market teams, teams like Minnesota that are building through the draft. They don't have the same type of popularity. They don't have the same type of power that teams like the Warriors have that can attract free agents. But I wouldn't go as far as saying it's ruining the NBA. We've seen super teams in the past. We saw Kobe and Shaq. We saw Jordan and Pippen. And I wouldn't say this is that far from those.
I mean, I see what you're saying. The NBA champion is always going to have a few all-stars. That's not my point. My point is I really do think it has ruined the NBA. And I don't mean a team with a few all-stars. And by that, I don't think the Cavaliers, in my opinion, count as a super team. They have LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. Those are 3 very good players. But you look at a year ago and 2 years ago, those teams did, well, 2 years ago, that team was the same team, didn't win the finals. They had injuries. You look at last year, though. This is my argument against the super teams. Last year's NBA playoffs were some of the best playoffs I've ever watched in any sport. You have the Thunder and Warriors going 7 games, Westbrook and Durant versus Curry, Clay, and Draymond. And then you have that NBA Finals, which I've gone back and watched over and over and over again. One of the best series I've ever watched. Game 7 was one of the best flat-out games I've ever watched. It's just so much fun to watch when you have these teams that, yes, if you have a few teams that are really strong and evenly matched, it's great to watch. Because the other team we didn't mention, the Spurs last year, were an incredible team. They still are a good team, but when you have Kevin Durant going to the Warriors, it just takes away everything. You went from a league last year where there were 4 teams, Cleveland, Golden State, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, were all capable of winning the title, whereas Durant cannot get by Golden State. He's 1 game away. He had 3 chances to get to the finals, couldn't do it, doesn't beat him, he joins them, goes to Golden State, now goes from 4 potential champions to 1. The playoffs were not fun to watch this year. Even Cleveland, a team that was so good, rolled through the East like nothing I've ever seen. They go into the finals and they lose in 5 games. I think that Kevin Durant, I know it sounds very dramatic, I think he's ruined the NBA for me. Because it's such a soft move going to Golden State. He's just not a competitor. And you look at a guy, he had Westbrook and Durant on the same team in Oklahoma City. That could have been greatness. They didn't win it right away. It took them some work. That's how it works. You have to work hard for championships. LeBron didn't win it his first try. He built something in Miami, whereas Durant joined something in Golden State. That's my argument against it. Nothing I can do, though, and there's no chance I can deny the fact that Kevin Durant is a remarkable basketball player. And frankly, I'm not sure Golden State wins the series without him. So I got to tip my cap to them as much as it kind of gets me as much as it bothers me. But they are the champions. They were the best team. You got something to say?
Yeah, I'd say time and time again we see superstar free agents go to a team that is probably better than the team they started with. Happened with Chris Bosh. Happened with Kevin Love we saw before, although that was a trade. I think KD took the opportunity. He took the right opportunity to go to the Warriors. This is something that not many players are offered, and not many players will go without having this opportunity. Kevin Durant took advantage of it. The money worked out perfectly. He was able to get the contract he wanted and go to the Warriors and mix into a team that was already a 73-win team, NBA breaking. I think this team is exactly what Kevin Durant wanted, and he made the right decision going to the Warriors.
I mean, there's no doubt about it that the best chance for him to win a title was in Golden State, but that's the best chance for everyone. And this is one of the few guys in this league. I think he's one of 4 guys, along with LeBron, Curry, and Kawhi Leonard, who can really carry a team to a championship. And he's joining a team that already won 73 games, a team that didn't need him. More than anything, I think Golden State needed him off the Thunder more than they needed him on the Warriors. There's no competitive spirit. There's no doubt about it. The best chance for him to win a title was in Golden State. The best chance for anybody to win a title was in Golden State. I just think it was a cop-out. It was a soft move. It was a fraud move. And the difference with what he did this year and what LeBron did, I kind of touched on it. I'll get a little more in depth about it. LeBron James was on a team in Cleveland where he had no chance at winning a title. Whereas Kevin Durant with Russell Westbrook, I thought they were 1 or 2 breaks away. If they could get to the finals again, they could win this finals anytime with the talent that those 2 guys have. 1 minute. And LeBron joined a 47-win team in the Miami Heat. He joined Dwayne Wade, a team that was not winning championships, a team that wasn't really getting the conference finals since Shaquille O'Neal had left that team. Bosh joined, he went there to build something. And had the situations been different, LeBron looked at Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade and said, we got to work together, let's win a championship. And they just had to decide. They were all free agents. Were they all going to go to Cleveland? Were they all going to go to Toronto or Miami? The obvious choice, Miami. If you're a young NBA player, that's where you want to go. They went to Miami, they built something, they worked at it, and they won 2 championships in 4 appearances, and then he went back home. Durant went to a team that, like I said, didn't need him. He walked into a team that was basically already in the finals at the beginning of the year. And he won a championship. I mean, he played great in the series. Can't take that away from him. There's no doubt, nothing that illegitimizes the fact that they won the title. I'm just saying, I think it takes the competitive spirit out of basketball, seeing him go to Golden State.
LeBron was in the Eastern Conference Finals the 2 years before he left the Cavaliers. Lost to the Spurs, obviously. They were outmatched in that 2009 series. Then he went back and played the Magic the next year. So this was a team that was in it. They had an all-star. They had Mo Williams, who was an all-star that year.
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, but you see where they were without LeBron when he left. They went to the bottom of the standings. LeBron, once the Celtics assembled Durant, the big 3 with Garnett, Allen, and Pierce, LeBron just could not get past him, and he went to Miami and he beat him 4 years. He needed to get out of Cleveland, or if people come to Cleveland, he could not win with that team. Kevin Durant, I believe, if him and Westbrook worked at it, they could win a title eventually in OKC. All right, there's a good debate for you right there. I think that everybody has a very strong opinion on Kevin Durant. I cannot stand him. Scotty, as a player, do you still like him? Do you still respect him?
I think Kevin Durant's the most fun player to watch in the NBA besides Steph Curry. He's a great player to watch. His talent is undeniable. And at his best, he's a top 3 NBA player. And no one can deny that. Like you said, no one can take that away from him.
Yeah.
He's a guy who could put up 30 points every night. And as a person, there's no question. You saw him at the end of that game embracing with his mom. He's a remarkable person. And that's not the problem. The problem was the sportsmanship aspect and him leaving. The competitiveness
is what gets
leaving the loyalty of the Warriors, the Thunder, the fans that had cherished him since 2008. But I don't think that takes into effect as much as a decision he had to make as a player.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the whole argument comes down to the fact that as viewers of the NBA, as fans, he kind of took that away from us. What would have been a great series between Cleveland and Golden State, and a great series between Oklahoma City and Golden State, or San Antonio, or whoever it may have been. We're going to move on past the Warriors now. We're going to get into the Stanley Cup Final. The Pittsburgh Penguins defeated the Nashville Predators in 6 games. Nashville had an incredible playoff run as an 8 seed. Nobody saw that coming with PK Subban and all these guys. Mike Fisher put together a great series. Sidney Crosby, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, 2-time MVP, 2-time gold medal award winner in the Olympics. Where do you put Sidney Crosby among the all-time greats at this point?
I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I'm going to put him at number 5. After this win, I don't think he's established himself as a top 3 player yet. He hasn't gotten in the Gordie Howe range, but...
do you have a set top 5? Or
I think Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, and Gordie Howe are my top 3.
You have Messier at 1?
Yeah, I have him at 2.
Okay, yeah. I think there's no denying the fact, there's absolutely no dispute that Wayne Gretzky is the number 1 hockey player of all time. And I don't think that his numbers, this past year, Jaromir Jagr became number 2 in the all-time scoring list. Second all-time, he's still 1,000 points behind Wayne Gretzky. I wish I could have grown up watching Gretzky play. His numbers are just astonishing. I actually agree with you. I have Crosby at 4. I think that watching him play, he's one of the smartest players on the ice. He moves the puck well. He can find the back of the net well. He's a great teammate. He's dealt with some injuries, some bad concussions in these past few years. And he went a while. He won his first cup in 2008, and I thought maybe it would be a while before he hoisted it again. I thought maybe he wouldn't hoist it again. Here we go, back to back. He's been the Conn Smythe these past 2 years. I'm going to put him at 4, and I agree with your list. Instead of Messier, though, I'm going to put Mario Lemieux. I'm going to have Gretzky 1, Lemieux 2, Gordie Howe 3, Crosby 4, and then I'm going to put Bobby Orr at 5, and Messier 6 or 7. But nonetheless, Crosby's another guy who, as a Bruins fan, an Eastern Conference fan, he's not my favorite guy, but nothing but respect for him. Tip the cap, incredible player, and really he's got a perfect, he's polished, whatever. He's got no problems with his off the ice issues. Nothing but respect for Sidney Crosby.
And I think it has to be said that Game 6 was incredible. The goaltending in that game was absolutely astonishing.
Although you can't.
And Matt Murray, only playing 49 games in the season, came into this not being the starter, still banged up coming into the playoffs, came in, didn't allow a goal, and there's nothing that can be said about his play in the finals that hasn't already been said. This is a guy who's a 23-year-old player, his second year in the league, wasn't supposed to be a starter, and has outstanded the Penguins, has outstanded the NHL. He played who I think the best goalie in the NHL is Pecorino. He outplayed him in that Game 6.
I think that is a great point. Matt Murray has won 2 Stanley Cups as starting goaltender for the Penguins in these last 2 years. It can't go untalked about the officiating in that Game 6. Nashville had a surefire goal. The ref lost the puck. He thought Murray was holding it. Murray just couldn't find it. Nashville poked it in, but the ref blew an inadvertent whistle. So took a goal straight off the board for Nashville. No question, should have been a goal in that game. Should have probably ended up in overtime. With Hornquist scoring with just about a minute and a half to go, because then the Hagelin empty netter does not happen with a tie game. That game should have gone to overtime. I do think Nashville got the wrong end of a very, very, very unfortunate call there. Nonetheless, you got to keep playing. Bad officiating is a part of sports. You got to work through it. Pittsburgh was able to still come out on top. Next, baseball. We're about 2 months into the season now. Give me 3 surprises thus far in the MLB.
So I'm going to say the dominance of Luis Severino, the struggling of the Mets, and the fact that the Chicago Cubs are 31-32 through the first 60 games.
I'm going to go with the biggest surprise for me is just you said Severino. I'm just going to say the Yankees as a whole. I did not see this coming. It was supposed to be a rebuild year. And with that, cannot go without mentioning Aaron Judge, who leads in every major hitting category in the MLB last night, hit another home run last night, 22nd of the year. It is just astonishing how well this young man is playing. It's mind-boggling. It's indescribable how well he's playing so early on in his career. And it's almost, if watching these broadcasts, these Yankee broadcasts, they're already talking about him as the new Derek Jeter, the guy who all the kids are going to grow up admiring wearing the number 99 shirt. He has taken over baseball faster than anything I've ever imagined. Next, I'm going to go with the struggles of the Boston Red Sox. They're right there. They're just 3 games back of the Yankees, but they were supposed to have a remarkable pitching staff. They had 4 All-Stars with David Price, Drew Pomeranz, the defending Cy Young Award winner in Rick Porcello, and Chris Sale. Sale they traded for. They traded Yohan Moncada, the number 1 prospect in baseball. He's been terrific. We talked before. We both agreed he's going to win the AL Cy Young. I'm still sticking by that. Price has struggled. Pomeranz has struggled. And Porcello has struggled. And as a team similar to the Mets, who is my 3rd surprise, I thought they'd be better. Both the Red Sox and the Mets were my 2 World Series picks. The 2 of them are teams built around pitching, and they're not pitching well. And it's just, they have the talent. It's been injuries. It's been whatever it is, management, whether it be upper management. There's just something going on with both of these teams, and I'm surprised to see them not as good as they are. And obviously the Cubs thought they'd be better as well. It is still early. The MLB is one of the few sports, as long as you get in the playoffs, you're fine.
And then back to Judge. This is a guy that people were criticizing at the end of last year. They're saying he's 6'8", someone his height can't play baseball at a high level. Oh, he's going to be a home run or nothing guy. But he's really proven that he can hit 300 a season. Right now he's hitting 340 with 49 RBIs, and all that production isn't just through home runs.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this guy's incredible, and there's not enough that can be
And he's
said.
made some very nice defensive plays in right field as
absolutely.
well. He is, right now, he is so much fun to watch. If you're a baseball fan, cherish this, because I really do think that this is the beginning of what will be a very long, successful career. And it's for the Yankee fans, it's great to have a guy like that on your team. Lastly, it's been a lot of fun talking sports with you all throughout this year. Scotty and I, let's give our top 5 favorite sports moments of this past year. You can go first.
So number 5, I'm going to go with UNC avenging Marcus Page's missed jumper and tough loss in 2016. They came back. They ran through the playoffs. Although the title game wasn't that interesting, they were able to get it done, and impressed with Roy Williams, one of the top college coaches ever. Good job by UNC. Number 4, I'm going with Clemson winning, beating Alabama. I've always been a Deshaun Watson fan, and I was happy to see him get this
There's
ring.
some vengeance as well,
Yes,
coming back after
indeed.
losing the year prior.
So number 3, I'm going to give South Carolina's March Madness run, making it to the Final Four. I like when small schools, when teams that aren't necessarily favored to win can make it into the Final Four, can make a deep playoff run. We all love the Cinderella stories, but South Carolina is something I don't think anybody saw coming. Sindarius Thornwell played absolutely incredible. He probably got himself a pick in the NBA after that incredible run, and hats off to South Carolina. Number 2, I'm going to go with Lakers keeping their pick. Coming into this year, I thought there was no chance that the Lakers were going to keep their top 3 pick. I thought there's no way they're going to be a top 3 worst team. They didn't end up being a top 3 worst team. They were at 3, and it did not look good at the end. Luckily, they were able to keep it, and that's a big sigh of relief for all Lakers fans around the world. And then number 1, I'm going with LeBron losing this finals to go to 3-5 career. There cannot be enough said about LeBron James, and those 5 finals losses aren't entirely his fault. But I still love LeBron losing. I hate LeBron. I think that by him moving to the Heat, he ruined the NBA more than, per se, KD joining the Warriors. And I'm going to admit, I like seeing him losing.
Yeah, very fair. I think that as a basketball fan, I used to like seeing him losing until Kevin Durant became my mortal enemy. So then my number 5, as you know, diehard Patriots fan, Tom Brady returning in Cleveland after that suspension by Roger Goodell in the NFL. A ludicrous suspension, shouldn't have happened, not going to get into the details. He came back, he had 3 touchdowns, he rolled the Patriots through that game in Cleveland. Cincinnati the next week did the same thing and kept it going and going and going. What a year it was for Brady. He stuck it to the NFL. Deflated footballs or not, best quarterback of all time, no questions asked. Number 4, I'm going to go with Isaiah Thomas putting up 53 points in Game 2's overtime win over the Washington Wizards, and specifically because it was a week after, on the birthday of his younger sister, he calls her baby sis, China, who passed away in a car accident on her birthday. She would have turned 22 that day. He went out there with a heavy heart, dropped 53 points in a game that I know you watched, Scotty. At the end, he was taking every shot, and he was just throwing them up, and every single shot went in. A guy who's 5'9", being guarded by a guy who's 6'10". He's crossing them up, hitting jumpers, getting fouled. It was some of the best basketball I've ever watched by a player. Honored to have him on my team as a Celtics fan. And next, with the Celtics, my number 3, you said the Lakers keep their pick. I'm going with the Celtics winning the lottery, number 1 overall pick. They were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they got the number 1 pick. They got a lot of good young players. They got some solid veterans and some money to spend, and now the first overall pick. It's a good time to be a Celtics fan. And I forgot to mention this in the super team debate, but this kind of ties into it. What having a super team does for the NBA is a lot of NBA GMs have anonymously said that they don't like having these super teams because you have 2 options. You're not going to beat these teams. There's no way. You can either sign veterans and spend money and compete and lose in the conference finals, make the playoffs but lose, give your fans something to watch all year, or you can try and wait for life after Durant and LeBron and rebuild and upset your fans. So it's kind of a lose-lose / win-win because the rebuild, there's hope for the future, but your fans are upset. With going at it and just trying to be competitive, your fans have something to watch. Your team is still kind of bringing in some good money, but you're not going to win anything. The Celtics are in a position where they can do both at the same time. They can rebuild. They have Jaylen Brown. They have Terry Rozier, these good young players, and they have they have the first pick this year, and next year they'll have the Nets pick, which will most likely be in the top 3 as well. So they're able to do that, but they also have money to spend. They also have Isaiah Thomas and Al Horford. They're also already the #1 seed in the East. So they're in a great spot where they can kind of play both ends of the spectrum. So them winning the lottery only made that better. Number 2, the Cubs winning the World Series, 108 years. Just as a sports fan, what a spectacle that was to watch. And that Game 7 was terrific. Rajai Davis hitting this home run in the bottom of the, I believe it was the 8th inning to tie it at 6, and then going into extra innings. What a game that was. The Cubs winning. Great for Theo Epstein, who's one of the best, I think one of the best sports minds in the universe. And great for all those fans who have stayed loyal for these last 108 years. And number 1, you know me, there's no debate, Super Bowl 51. I was watching that game, 28-3. That thing was all but over. And then Tom Brady did what Tom Brady does and just drops your jaw. I still can't believe that game turned out the way it did. Unbelievable comeback. James White was fantastic. Danny Amendola, Malcolm Mitchell, Chris Hogan, Julian Edelman with that ridiculous catch. Dante Hightower strip sack. One of the best sporting events I've ever watched. One of the happiest I've ever been in my life. That's number 1, and that's number 1 always. Sports moments of all time. What a game that was, and what a night that was for me. So that's it. 9 episodes in the books. I appreciate you tuning in and watching Scotty and I ramble about sports time and time again. It's been a lot of fun talking with you guys. For the last time, this has been Matt Schlegel and Scotty Luntz for NCTV.